Okay, 10.2.14, we're in biology, and we had talked yesterday a little bit about predator-prey relationships. We had talked a little bit about, started to talk about symbiotic relationships. So, symbiotic relationships. Let's do a little bit of sort of vocabulary work. What chunks of that word do you see? Yeah. Okay. Biotic, which we see this bio in here. What does bio mean? Life. So we know right off the bat that symbiotic relationships have to be between two living things. Okay? You can't have a symbiotic relationship with something that isn't living. So, sim. What's that root come from, or that prefix? Seems like it. Here, so sim is related to the prefix sin, and this is not like sin, like you did something bad. This is sin as in something that's together. Like when we synthesize something, we put it together. So, a symbiotic relationship. We have something together. To get her. I always have to remember how to spell it that way. Together. Jointly. So we've got living things that are acting in some sort of relationship together. Okay? Now, there are three big categories that we're going to talk about. Okay. So if we talk about kinds of symbiotic relationships, there can basically be three ways this pans out. So plus. This is a win-win situation. So for species A, it's a win. For species B, it's a win. Those are great relationships. We can have a relationship where for species A, it's a win, and for species B, it doesn't really matter. Doesn't hurt them, doesn't help them, doesn't affect them. Or we can have a relationship where there's a benefit for one species, so species A gets something out of the deal. Species B is actively hurt by the relationship. It's actually damaged in some way. So let's think about some relationships you know of in the world that fit in these categories. Then we'll start talking about the names for them. So what's a relationship you can think of where two species benefit? Well, first of all, let's start thinking about just relationships between two species that are sort of long-term relationships, and then we'll see where we fit them in. What do you think?
I was going to say, aren't there little fish that sit inside sharks?
Not inside of sharks, but inside of other larger fish, yeah. So there are, what's the species? We should look this up. So little tiny fish that live inside basically the mouth of a larger species, and they get food out of it, and no, it's not a barnacle. Let's look it up. We've got a few of these, and we talked a little bit about domestic relationships. So now let's look at categorizing these relationships. Where would we categorize the shark and remora in that list? So we're looking at these three. Whoops, I need to I shrunk that too much, sorry. Mutualistic, yeah. So this is your plus, mutualistic. Both species benefit. Where would your dogs and fleas come in? Parasitic, yeah. Fleas are a parasite. Fleas are a parasite. What benefit do fleas get? Blood. They get food, and they also get shelter in the dog's coat. So this is a plus minus. Where would the vultures and wolves come in? Commensal. So a positive for one species, no effect for the other. Okay, see you in 30.